Trapping plays a very important role in modern-day wildlife management. Professional wildlife biologists monitor fur-bearer populations to maintain a healthy and sustainable harvest of this important, renewable natural resource. Trapping provides recreation and income for licensed trappers across this country. Hoosier Trapper Outdoors is brought to you by Hoosier Trapper Supply. J3 Outdoors, manufacturer of the Hags Bracket and Body Trap Spring Clip. Leatherwood Creek Trapping Scents. Webe Knives and Fur Handling Tools. HTS Productions. Hoosier Trapper Deer Scents. And Leatherwood Wildlife Art.
All right, welcome to episode 2 of Hoosier Trapper Outdoors. On this episode, we will continue with some Indiana trapping, both coyote and some beaver trapping that we do. Typically, the beavers in this area, we don't have a lot of beavers because the surveying office of this county really works on the beavers year round. So we do get out and trap some. And to be honest with you, the beavers that we're catching got us access to the ground that we're on to coyote trap. So a lot of times, if you are known in the area as a trapper, a farmer comes to you and say, hey, can you take care of my beavers? And you say, well, can I trap the other stuff? And 9 times out of 10, they're going to let you do that. So particularly if you're not charging to trap the beavers, if it's within the season. So we do this, kind of works both ways. We take care of the beaver problems. We like catching the beavers, and then we'll be able to trap the other stuff while we're there, particularly coyotes. So anyways, Indiana trapping, we will have our set making series. Still working on the fundamentals of that, and then we'll have a product highlight, and that'll wrap up the show this week. So I appreciate you joining us, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Pulling here, we just set these traps yesterday.
Doubled up
right across from each other. We got a talker, and
they're both talking.
yeah, they are.
Give me some more top dog.
Top dog on both sets. Black gold.
Over on my set, I was using Vixen Elixir and Coyote Carnage as a combo. I had a dirt hole with some top dog and some fox shooter.
Yeah.
Something that a lot of guys talk about too is playing the wind. You know, in a big area, you kind of think of that like, oh, okay, there's a group of woods where something could be laying. The wind would, the scent would bring it. But if you even hone that down in a small condensed area, I'll probably put this set here. I did that one. I was gonna go on the opposite side just for, I don't know, just because. But then I realized the scent and the way the wind was blowing, it was carrying across. So I ended up moving this way just in case if the coyote went down, if he didn't see the set, he wouldn't be able to smell it because the wind is going that way. So that way my lure and bait would hit him right in the nose and bring him right to the set.
Right. But and the set, the closest one to us here was a flat set. And then the further one was a traditional dirt hole set. So. Anyways, we'll get these guys taken care of and see what else is going on this location. We got some other traps there too. So.
Go ahead, Trey. Maybe you wrapped up on something and drowned down there.
Yeah, maybe. No.
Hey! Pull him out of there, buddy.
Big old beaver. Big old beaver at a TS-85, buried in a TS-85. We'll take it.
We got coyotes. We got coyotes barking in the background, and a big old beaver in a TS-85.
That's a pretty good morning.
Yeah, I'd say it's a pretty good location right here.
Hags Trapping Products by J3 Outdoors, the most versatile and efficient trapping devices on the market.
Got the Hags brackets on here, super handy, and then just the bracket with a carrot and some lure on the carrot. And then we just set this trap in one of the grooves. We're putting these, this is a 1.5 Duke, which goes in the bottom slot. And it just sits right under there on the bottom slot, and then the water's just directly over the trap. So when the rat climbs up on there to get the carrot, catch him in the trap. All right, trap's messing. We'll see if we got anything. Yep. Hags bracket with the carrot. Can't beat that.
All right, you can see we got this little ditch here. It's all dammed up from the beavers. Caught a guy right here, 330, and a long stabilizer there. We've showed this set a couple different times on some past episodes, but I call it a corner pocket set. I just kind of fence in this corner, 330 right there, then throw some beaver gland lure back here. Kind of a little mud pie. And the beaver are just so aggressive, very territorial. They think another one's moving in, they gotta check it out. So not to mention I did punch a small hole to drop the water, so they'd want to come down this way to fill it. And then once they get down here, they can smell that lure. But yeah, right by the head, right where you want him. And that's it. We'll reset this, and there's probably a couple beaver in here, I'm not sure. But I've caught them here over the past years off this farm ditch. But anyway, great spot, great set, great catch.
Leatherwood Trapping Sense. Success speaks for itself.
Just want to show everybody what's going on here. This location we doubled up on coyotes yesterday and had a beaver and a TS-85 down here at the dam, which is pretty good. Then right here, all this disturbance, see it's all tore up. There was a good trail coming out of here, but it's hard to tell now. I had a snare, and I caught a big old beaver right here. It's hard to catch them right behind the head, but we snared him right there, right behind the front shoulders. But big old beaver, pretty cool. So that makes 2 beavers today, and got a couple more coon traps to set. But other than that, that's pretty much it. We do have a 330 over here. You can see this slide, this little marsh. Yeah, 330 right there fenced in. But based off the damage and disturbance and stuff, I think we already caught the 2 issue beavers here. So we'll let it sit and see if anything happens. There's a hole in the dam now, and if something comes to plug it, we'll know, and we'll keep them set then. Pretty awesome. He wants some biscuits and gravy with his top dog.
Did you have predator gravy on there?
Predator gravy?
Yeah.
Not this one. Actually, I don't. Originally, there was Dixon Elixir with top dog and coyote urine, but you remade the set for me because we caught a beaver here the other day.
Right.
I was out messing with beavers. Charlie actually remade this. So what'd you end up doing?
I know top dog, and I believe I actually put black gold on there. So.
Black gold?
Yeah.
It's a great combo.
But this is where we had the double on the coyotes a couple days ago.
Yeah, it was 2 days ago, and I came here yesterday to check it. Plenty of smell going on in the circle here. There was some digging and scratching out in front of the set. He didn't really commit to the set completely to the trap. And obviously today he came back for some more. So it's been a good spot, so we're gonna keep on trucking here, take care of him, and set another remake here and see if we can get some more this week.
Yep.
I've been a professional trapper for over 40 years, and in that time, I've skinned literally thousands of animals. I've learned that it doesn't matter how cool a knife looks on your hip. What really matters is sharpness and reliability. And that's why I created the Webe Wicked Sharp line of replacement blade knives. These are knives that will quickly skin your critters without skinning your wallet. Visit WebeKnives.com to get the new Monarch folding knife with 3 replacement blades for just $19.95. Webe Knives, Wicked Sharp.
All right, we're going to continue with our set series, and we're going to work off of what we did last week. Last week I talked about trap placement within a dirt hole set. Fundamentally, this is kind of where the baseline starting point for the vast majority of dirt hole sets that we make. There are on occasion exceptions, and we'll get to that as we go along over the next few episodes. But at this point, we're just kind of finish up where we left off last time. So, dug the hole nice and deep. The deeper you make the hole, I mean within reason, the more that animal has to work to get to what he wants. And if you've got a decent bait, a good bait within that hole, and like I said, we're big on our top dog predator bait, then that'll keep that animal working the set and get him caught in the trap. So we want to keep him at the set long enough, obviously, to step into the trap. Now, as far as the trap bed, we got it right here in the front. And I've got a lot of hardware on my sets. I think it's like, I don't remember exactly, 26 inches or so. So I've got a swivel point here, the J.C. Connor shock spring, swivel point here, and a swivel point here. So that takes a lot of stress off both the animal and the trap. So they can't get a really good direct pull. They can't roll the trap because of all the swivel points, or they can roll the trap. Nothing's going to bind up, and it's amazing, as I've said in the past, how much a coyote can pull that down when they're actually pulling on that set. So they can't get a direct pull on the trap itself. So because of all that hardware, normally I will actually stake off here to the side so I can bury this hardware without having to worry about rocking underneath the trap. If you don't have that much hardware, just stake directly below where your set is, or where your trap is. Okay. Cable stake. This is just a basic Berkshire stake. They hold very well. They're inexpensive. They don't hold up to a lot of prying and use it again. So usually you can get 2 or 3 uses out of them, or they're economical enough that you can actually just cut your cable and leave the stake. So, so whatever choice of stake that you make, that's good. They all work very well. We just choose to use these because on occasions we just do cut them and leave them. All right, so overdrive it a little bit and get that stake a little bit below the surface of the grade of the ground. Of course, pull your driver out, give a little tug, and that'll set that stake from a vertical to a horizontal. See how that's going to fit over there. We're going to work that trap in like right there. Bedding the trap's real important. So you want to make sure it's not rocking. So if the coyote steps here, it's not going to flip the trap up. if you kind of dish out your trap bed, so it's got a kind of a bowl effect, and then the jaws of the trap are setting on the rim or edge of that bowl, then that gets rid of the teeter-totter of the base plate of the trap. So we just fold that back over. We got that working for us. If you struggle with the depth of your trap bed in relation to the grade of the ground, and there's several perspectives on this, and I've always said you can ask 12 trappers and get 12 different answers. Normally I am slightly below the grade of the ground in terms of my finished set. Some like it completely level. My thought is that if it's completely, if it's got just a little bit of a, if it's below the grade of the ground a little bit, it just helps direct that coyote to step in this location right here. Or like I said, some guys make it level. You could ask a number of trappers and get a number of different answers. But anyways, that's if you struggle with that, take your sifter, put it over your trap, and then that way you can tell how far down your trap is in the trap bed in relation to how your finished set will be. So it's a little easier if you don't have this dug out here on the side to do that, but that'll give you an idea where you are in relation to your finished area. So if you're too deep or not deep enough or whatever. So the last thing in my view that you want is that finished set to be higher than the grade of the ground. So it should be at least even, and usually we make them so that they're slightly below the actual grade of the ground here. As I talked about last week, the dog of the trap, we're in the 1 to 2 o'clock position. So anywhere really from the 12 to the 2 o'clock position is kind of where you want the dog of the trap. This part here, that's the area that's probably least likely to be stepped on by the coyote. I'm going to put a pan cover on here, sift some dirt. Okay, smooth this out, and as you can see, I'm definitely below the grade of the ground, but not significantly. We're going to kind of just feather these edges out. We're going to press this down a little bit, feather these edges out. And you're good. Now, no two sets you make will probably look exactly alike, but fundamentally you can keep sets looking the same in terms of your trap placement. Unless you're in very hard soil or very rocky soil, you can, good farm country, you could keep it the same. Your hole should be nice and deep. Trap placement the same. Below the grade of the ground, you can maintain the same. But variations in just the area that you're in will dictate maybe the final look of your set. But fundamentally, they're all going to basically be the same. Now, blocking so that the animal steps in the proper place here. My perspective is that if that trap is on that hole, it's right here. Like I said, it was about 5.5 inches back, which is essentially as close to the hole as we can get without having a trap jaw in the hole itself. You don't need blocking. Basically, he wants what's down that hole. So when he comes in here, he may not come in like you typically would think. He's going to come in from the side. He may even come in from the back. But to see what's in the hole, he's going to have to flip to this side because of the angle of the hole. That hole's at about whatever that angle is right there. So it is angled slightly to force the animal to this side. But if you don't really need the blocking, heavy blocking, which coyotes typically don't like, because that trap is guarding that hole where the bait is what the coyote, fox, or bobcat want. So if you're right there, you don't need to be concerned about blocking and possibly cause that coyote to shy away from you. So at this point, I'll put some bait down in the hole. Just a good glob. Push that down there. Now, I typically use a stick instead of a bait fork, and I've just found with a bait fork, something that you're going to keep. Even though you wipe it off, it just starts turning into a mess. Whatever you carry your equipment, it's going to smell anyways. But that's just one more thing that you've got that scent on, that you stand the risk of contaminating your other tools or trap or equipment. So I just grab a stick that will find where you're trapping at and use that to place my bait down in the hole. You can do it one of two ways. If your hole's good and deep, you got a small stick and just throw the whole thing down there. If you're unable to get the hole that deep, just because of ground conditions, rocks, whatever, take your stick, get the bait down in there, and then just throw that stick that had the bait on it just off in the woods away from the set. You don't want them picking that stick up and hauling it off without getting caught, particularly if your hole's shallow. But if it's good and deep, then you have to be concerned about that. You can take some of this grass from the outside and wad it up and put it on top of that bait like that. And that add a little bit more interest, a little bit more effort for them to work the set. If the hole's really good and deep, not completely necessary, but that just adds one more element of curiosity. As far as lure, we're going to take, and this is a whole nother discussion, but just very briefly, there's curiosity lures, food lures, and what would be called cold lures, or something that reaches out a little bit farther. This Vixen Elixir is one of our favorites. It's a curiosity type lure. It's good the entire season. You can use it in mild weather, clear up into very cold weather. So it's definitely one of our choices. So we're just going to pour a little bit right here on this top edge of the hole, and that's it. It doesn't require a whole lot. If you are making a set and you're getting ready to pour your lure on, or if you use a dropper cap or whatever, it's generally a good practice to come around like this and do your lure or bait, or not your bait, but your bait too, your lure, and that way you're not going straight across your trap bed where your freshly sifted dirt is. If you drop some lure or whatever in this area right here, it's not going to shy the animal away, but what he's going to do is he's going to sit here and dig around, and so you've thrown his attention here instead of here. You don't really want so much attention here from the animal himself. You want it back here. So just to avoid that problem or mistake, by dripping lure right here, you can come around from the side and work from the back like this. That way you don't have to risk that. And then last, I'm going to put a little urine back here. We're just going to put a little bit right there. And you could get a little crazy with it or whatever. Typically that's, we'll just, as long as it's kind of in the backing area, you're good. So, I mean, we don't have a 100% way of knowing this, but most likely they're smelling the lure first. The urine's kind of makes them think another one's been there, kind of marked as territory, and then the bait is what they ultimately want. And because of the deep hole, they're going to have to work at getting to the bait, and while they're working to get to the bait, then you're going to catch them in the trap, and that's why that trap is up on the hole. So, okay, so here's our fundamental baseline for a dirt hole set, and then next week we'll start working off of some variations of this set right here, and maybe a little bit of troubleshooting on what to do if you got an animal that seems to be a little bit wise to a trap. So anyways, like I said, this is fundamentally where we're going to start. Fundamentally, this is the dirt hole set that we use the majority of the time, and we'll work from this.
Thanks for watching the show, guys. Just want to let you know that we have the new catalog available. Pretty sharp looking cover there with Charlie working a muskrat hut. You can get this by calling the shop here at any time. Just give us your home address and we'll be glad to send you one. Or you can visit us at HoosierTrapperSupply.com and sign up that way, request one. It's real easy. It's on the home page. It's a brand new website. It's pretty sharp. And you can also sign up for our email newsletter, which informs you on show dates when they're coming out and product highlights and shows or specials that we may have going on at the time. Occasionally a blog by Charlie. So just a little bit of insight of what's going on here at Hoosier Trapper will be in those newsletters. One thing I wanted to add too is the Fur Shed series is still out there, so don't forget about that. We send them out randomly. There's no dates available. Anytime we think there's a tip or something useful that could help someone out in the field or in their shed, we'll go ahead and throw it out there for you. And it's real clean cut, straight to the point. Anything from trap modification to fur grading or whatnot, just anything that's done in the shed, not necessarily done in the field. Those tips can really be helpful, so be on the lookout for those. And go ahead and follow us too on all the social media sites. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. The list goes on. Just find us on there, and we'd love to hear from you. Comments, like, post, all the good stuff. So we'll see you next time.
Join us on August 31st for the next episode of Who's Your Trapper Outdoors.